Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 70. I forgot to check the audio and these guys might be muted. Let's have you guys say something.
Hello.
No, we're good.
Hello.
Awesome. It's
Nice.
the first Briar, oh my gosh. It's the first daylight savings episode for us. And I was definitely feeling like I had to do something an hour ago. I was like, man, something's not right. The time.
We also confused our British friend.
Yeah, I had this panic mode. I was literally like, guys, I missed 2 weeks of episodes. I apologize, and I don't know what time it is now. Our clocks went back. What's going on? When am I supposed to be here? And then it's just like, yeah.
What?
But then it's a weird that we have this weird 2 week window of like this black hole where like our times are just different, and then it's back to
definitely.
normal again.
So while you were gone for 2 weeks, how was the Jar Jar convention?
Really good, yeah. I mean, I can't talk too much about it because like only like certified Jar Jar members are really able to like properly talk about it. And I know we've got some non-believers amidst us, so I don't really want to entertain the non-believers. But
I
really
assume
good.
also it was only over Zoom as well, right? Because COVID, right?
Oh no, you see, as Jar Jar fans, we're actually also got incredibly powerful immune systems, and we are actually all like we're invincible to everything. So we can go wherever we please.
Got an incredible tolerance for bullshit. We know that.
No. Misa immune to everything.
Oh my gosh. Man.
Speaking of Star Wars, The Mandalorian Season 2 has officially begun. I'm not going to talk about it because spoilers, but like that's a thing. It's back.
You haven't seen season 1 yet?
I've not. I'm sorry.
Why?
No
I'm
Jar
not
Jar?
sure. Is it even in the UK?
Yeah. You guys are
I think so. I think it came.
You're on the same release schedule as us now.
Yeah.
Are we? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Before
Maybe
you
I'll
had to
jump into
wait.
the latest episode.
Are you not watching out of spite because of the delay? Be like, you know what, Disney?
Yeah,
Go
that's it.
screw
Yeah.
yourself, Disney.
I want to wait till Mulan comes out first, and then I'll watch it.
The first season was pretty good. It kind of hit a low spot for me, kind of in the middle a little bit. Like there was like this kind of like heist episode that I didn't really enjoy that much, but it got real good at the end, and then it started strong in the first episode of season 2. So I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
The end of it. Wink.
I was totally gonna watch it over the weekend, and then I didn't.
You should.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay though.
Well, I'm going to
because
start sending you personal messages spoiling it all.
Here's
gotcha.
a non-spoiler,
Block
non-spoiler,
Briar.
sort of spoiler, around spoiler. I'm pretty sure that episode of The Mandalorian, I did that quest in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Really?
I definitely did. I've definitely been there.
So it's a quest. It's a quest Mandalorian season 2 quest like side quests. Mandalorian season 2 side quests.
Yeah.
There we go. Look at that. The sponsorship we were waiting for.
Yeah. Of course, the first season was kind of side questy. Like I feel you on that, Briar. There
It
were a few
was.
episodes that were
Yeah.
definitely kind of like, well, we're kind of meandering, going off, doing other
You could
stuff,
make it a video game about getting bounties and traveling the star system
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and completing the bounty.
And
I would
100%
play
watch
that
it.
video game playing as the Mandalorian, and I would make better use of his flamethrower than he does.
Yeah, definitely.
Like burning baby Jar Jar.
Oh,
Good Lord, Eric.
Oh, sorry, not baby Jar Jar, baby Yoda.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
This
Baby
is,
Yoda's like, he's alright, but everyone hypes him up like he's the next best thing. It's like, nah, it's like Babu Frick from the new film. Everyone's like, he's so cool. It's like, no, he's not. He's just a little rubbish character.
so my wife walked in the room while I was watching it. I was actually watching it last night, season 2, episode 1, and she walked in and she said, they couldn't have made him look any cuter than they did. Like it's physically impossible. I'm like, yeah, I think you're right.
He's very cute. Where did I put my Yoda, baby Yoda? I don't know. I have a plushie of baby Yoda somewhere.
Oh, that
In a
seems like something everybody should have.
you should totally show it on your camera, but right now you're an anime character.
Right now I'm studying for all
Yeah.
these November releases.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We were talking before the show about like releases coming out this week. And what did we come up with? Dirt 5. What?
Oh, Watchdog Legions
was the
came out on
game?
Friday.
It did.
Yeah, last Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Dude, not
interesting.
much fanfare, really.
People are.
You know.
I've heard a couple people say that they're not interested in streaming it because they can't play the music in the game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
What a
killed
fiasco.
the enjoyment for some
A
people.
little gun shy about the DMCA on Twitch right now.
Pretty much, like if they put a popular song in the game and they didn't clear it for streaming, because I don't even know if they could set up a clearance for that, then people are going to get hit offline or at least their VODs are going to get hit because they streamed that one game. Unfortunate.
The real big release of the week is Esports Life Tycoon, which is coming out on, what is it? Epic on PC, the App Store, and Google Play.
Mm-hmm.
This is hot.
That's the one. See, Hefty, this is the one that we all need you to play.
Is this like
Esports Life Tycoon?
So you build a e-org and like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but for building an e-org?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The trailer makes it look like you design the house that all the housemates live in. Maybe you set their schedule for practices. I don't know. It looks fun though. It looks stupid and fun. You know what I mean?
I wonder if there's like a shortcut thing in there, or like a devious deeds, like go subscribe to Perfect Aim part of like a little side quest. Be like, oh, can't get caught. You've subscribed to Perfect Aim now. If you get caught, you're gonna have half your player base banned. You know.
Honestly, I think you should delve into the idea of being a tycoon streamer. You know, all the tycoon. There's so many of them.
That's true.
You could totally be that guy.
Yeah, Farm Simulator's coming out next week.
Whoa.
Simulation games are totally my jam.
Is it next gen optimized?
Yeah, that's the question.
I would watch you play Factorio for sure.
What's that? I haven't heard of that.
That's like it's a sim game, and you kind of build machines and stuff out of like the resources available.
That's cool.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be your jam.
That sounds fun, man.
Also, Need for Speed Most Wanted, the remaster. Is it a remaster or a remake?
I think it's
Sounds
what
like
does it describe it as? I'm gonna say remaster.
Okay. That was a fun game back in the day.
With a very confident answer.
I'm trying to find it on this list. There's so many games coming out on. There's so many.
Yeah, I've had.
If you look at any release date, it's just like 10th is like 17 games. The 12th, a million games. It's
yeah. I've just gotten to the point where I'm like homing in on the games that I'm really interested in for when they come out, and like making sure I'm mentally prepared and ready and rested. You know, because like there's totally other games that are coming out right now that I could dive into, but I want to be ready. I want to be ready for Beyond Light. I want to be ready for Godfall. You know?
Yeah. That's what I spent my day getting ready. Actually, I got a new TV. I ordered a new TV yesterday. That's coming on Thursday. So I spent my day setting up my office to accept said new TV, rerunning all the HDMI cables, rerunning all the
accept the new visual offering.
Yeah, well, it's a big ass monitor / TV. It's 48 inches.
God damn.
Yeah.
How far away are you going to sit from that?
I'm thinking about 5 feet. It's gonna be. It's gonna sit not on my desk, but behind my desk.
Right.
Okay.
But it's still like a wide, area. So I have like a measuring tape.
Naturally.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to space it out, right? So it's, but it's 4K, 120 hertz, and it's OLED.
Wow.
So that's gonna be really nice.
Very nice.
I'm kind of thinking it'll be good for pulling double duty for PC games. And for the new next generation Xbox and PlayStation.
What did that set you back?
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
As of
this Xbox.
Yes, you got one in hand.
Wow. I'm sorry. I have. Yeah. I unfortunately I can still only say it looks nice from the outside. That's all I can say.
What?
It's a nice box.
Well, Eric, so I have I got my PlayStation 5 controller and I held it.
Whoa!
Nice.
I wonder what it feels like.
It's actually pretty cool. The thing that I noticed right away is that the actual handles are way longer. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels good.
Watts, it looks a little bit like it'd feel like a Scuff Impact controller. Does it feel at all like that?
Very close.
That's
Very,
good
very
news because I find that controller to be extremely comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes. But of course, I can't try that. I can't try all the haptic feedback just by.
No, but it works on PC, doesn't it?
Does it?
I feel like they'd have to release a driver for the new one. I don't think it'd be like PS4.
Yeah, because it's interesting because like I know like before like pre people getting hands on, I always thought like haptic feedback was one of those sort of things like, oh yeah, it's just a fancy little thing you're going to talk about, and one of those like things you want to rattle off in your. But loads of people that have now gone hands on, like everyone's just raving about this controller like it's actually legitimately some like next gen feeling experience. I'm just like, all right, now I've got to try this because this sounds cool.
Yeah,
like people who don't necessarily get hyped about stuff too. Like the one for me that surprised me was Jeff Gerstmann from Giant Bomb, who's I'm not even sure likes video games anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he's just been in the game for so long. I actually really respect his opinions because he's got like this historical knowledge of video games in a really deep way because he's been reviewing video games since like the late 90s. And he talks about this controller like it's really blowing him away, and he's super excited about it, which you don't get that vibe from him too often.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Well,
yeah, it is. I'm excited for the next gen consoles. Like it's a
week away,
8 days away, right? 8 days away for the Xbox, 10 days away for the PlayStation. Got a new TV coming. Got new cables. Got a whole new world.
I have to figure out where the hell I'm going to put that PlayStation 5.
Yeah. I've got an alcove here, and I don't think it's actually. I think it's going to be a little bit too tall to fit in the alcove. So,
yeah.
I think it's just going to fit awkwardly on my desk. It'll fit, but I don't think it's going to look like it belongs there.
I'm going to go to Home Depot and get like a big old chain and just hang it from my neck.
How about as a backpack? You can walk around the house with it.
Oh, I like that even better.
Yeah. Your new portable console just showed up.
Yeah. It's like House of the Dead where they're wearing Dreamcasts on their back. Typing of the Dead.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I can't wait. I mean, I still only have a PlayStation 5 pre-ordered, and I have my date scheduled to walk in and pick it up on launch day at Best Buy. So
I like how they're doing that.
I love that. I love that they're giving you a time slot to come pick up your console.
So how do they do that? Do they send you an email?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I got my Xbox through them, and I haven't gotten anything like that yet.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Unless I just haven't checked my email, which is actually looking very likely.
It could have been, It could have been like it filed under like a promotional thing when really it was like a hey, set up your date to come and pick up your new console.
Yeah, I'm trying to weed myself off of all Google products as much as I can, considering I still like do YouTube. So I'm actually trying to transfer away from Gmail because I'm sick of like typing in an email and finding like switch it over to a web browser and seeing ads for stuff I was just talking about in the email. You know, like this whole like social media like steering us in weird directions has kind of gotten under my skin. I've watched a bunch of podcasts by the guy who did the social. What was that Netflix movie that just came out?
The Social Dilemma.
Yeah. Dilemma. Thank you. He does podcasts as well. And boy, don't listen to those podcasts if you want to be like happily living in social media.
Oh, I see it all the time because I have like the little robot lady. I can't say her name because she's always listening.
Alexa.
I have the robot lady in the kitchen, and we've got the one with the screen. So it shows you like news and stuff, which is great. But then it also will say, here's a recipe for the exact thing that you were just talking about 5 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh,
that's
no.
creepy.
Right? Yeah. And you weren't even talking to her, right?
No, I was just talking about like, I could really go for some curry. And then it's like, here's how to make coconut curry.
There's 5 options for buying curry on Amazon.
That stuff scares the hell out of me. But what really scared me was how they are like they're all trying to get as much engagement as possible. So like if you go and look up like I want to know conspiracy theories about JFK, like they'll show you the video that you look for, but then they're going to steer you toward the most batshit crazy conspiracies that are most likely to get you engaged.
Yeah.
So they're just constantly steering like masses of people toward like the most outlandish theories. That's why like you see this stuff like anti-vax or QAnon like really gaining popularity because so many people are being exposed to just one side of it because all the social networks are trying to get as much engagement as possible, and that shit is what gets the most engagement. Anger gets more engagement than if you look up something, you go, oh, that's cool, and then you move on with your day.
This is something I've actually looked at a lot, where there was a lot of people who became radicalized to certain ideologies through like YouTube, right? Because they watch like very normal things where it's kind of political debates or certain types of podcasts. And then eventually it just starts recommending you more and more extreme things until you really go into the rabbit hole. So it's really interesting to listen to people who were, kind of just people who thought very similarly to us, and then they end up having completely different views just from the things they've been recommended.
A hardcore flat earther.
Yeah,
you go in looking for like, when's the next Star Wars movie coming out? You come out as a hardcore Jar Jar apologist. And
whoa, excuse me. I'm the only pure person out here. What you really mean to say is that everyone's being brainwashed to hate him. Poor guy. Poor guy, honestly.
Let me tell you, that happened pretty naturally.
No. That happened because they were feeding you. They were feeding your mind. They were like trying to make you hate him. He never did anything wrong.
It's really the same thing that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago when we were joking about making cyberpunk hate videos, because we know that they'll do fantastic, right? It's the same thing. Is that's going to drive more engagement than a video where you just say, well, I love Cyberpunk. This is great. You should definitely go buy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the thing. And I hate that mentality, because it's the same thing. It's like it's the whole reason that places like Keemstar and stuff like grow on YouTube, because people are like, I want to know the drama. It's like, how can you wake up and be like, hey, I'm gonna make a video, let me get angry today? It's like, that is just that's why a lot of people a lot of people often say to me like, why do you not say like bad things about these games? And it's like, it's got nothing like, and despite the conspiracy theories of, you can't say it because then they're going to put you in a black book. It's like, no, I'm just like, if a game is really annoying me, I'm just going to put it down and play someone else. Like, my time, I can choose where to focus my efforts, and I want my energy in good stuff. So like, I'm not going to, it's mad.
Yeah,
protect your energy. Protect your energy, people.
100%. Protect your
Maybe
energy.
I'm just a very not passionate person or something. No, actually, that's not true. But I can't get that angry about like video games and stuff like that. I'm just, if I end up not enjoying something or they do something that I'm not a huge fan of, I just kind of step away. And then I'll come back if something is there that I enjoy. Yeah. I don't need to yell about why I hate it.
That's how I've approached video games my entire life. Like, it's when I'm done with a game or it's not fun anymore or I'm disappointed in some sort of direction, then I move on. Like, I vote with my dollars and my attention.
No one's forcing
I'm more likely to talk about the stuff I don't like when I actually like it's a list of small things I don't like about something that I overall love. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more likely to engage in that conversation. I'm not likely to have a conversation about, well, this game, there's nothing in this game that I like. Like, that's pretty much the end of that conversation for me. Like, I'm not, but if, like, Destiny is a perfect example of this. It's like the stuff I talk about with Destiny, a game that I love, is often like the minutia of like the imperfections in hopes that it becomes something I love even more, Yeah. Speaking of things I love, can we talk about the Ghost of Tsushima raid?
I'm speaking of Destiny.
And speaking of Destiny, holy crap, what an amazing experience. So, Eric, you haven't played it yet, right?
I have, yes, yeah.
Oh, you have? Oh, my bad. So everybody's played it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how much Destiny do you think was involved in inspiring that raid?
So I obviously I've been out the Destiny loop for a while, but having said that, specifically the final boss, I can see elements of like, there can definitely see elements of that. In the actual, actually, no, quite a lot of it. Yeah, you got the platforming section, you got the ring defense sections. Yeah, a lot of it.
A lot, right?
But really good. Like, the thing is, before we even get onto the specifics of it, like, just to reiterate, this game has no right being this good. Like, if it's not game of the year, like, we purchased a game which was fantastic on its own. They could have just done nothing with it, and it still would have gone down as my game of the year. And then they give us a free update. And I know I missed the show when we just spoke about just like when you guys spoke about Legends. Like Legends in and of itself, I thought was great. Like, the story missions they did was fantastic. A survival thing was cool. I'm not really a survival guy, so it wasn't really, I got a bit bored after a while. But the story missions, and then they give us a raid for like games that you don't associate raids with story-based games, right? You're just like, all right, cool. I honestly beforehand I didn't, not to sort of say Sucker Punch are a great studio, but I didn't expect much of the raid because I was like, it's just not the thing that they do. So I figured it would be more just like a really difficult mission.
Yeah, none of us expected an actual raid. We were like,
right? They said raid, and we were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're like, okay, yeah, we've seen some other companies do raids before, and yeah, we know that's like, glorified survival. Okay, here we come for a raid, but like this was a full on. It was continuation off of the story campaign, and then long quests that required like definite teamwork. There's a few of them where you absolutely have to have all 4 people participating and listening to each other, otherwise you're going to fail. And I'm like, I was blown away. I was like, I can't believe I'm playing something that's giving me the feeling of raiding in Destiny. That's like, it's a very unique and special feeling in gaming to be experiencing raid-like content, right? And I did not at all expect that to happen in Ghost of Tsushima. I was like, wow.
Well, I've been like talking about the Ghost of Tsushima raid on Twitter and stuff, and people are like, "What is this game? I thought this was like a single player story game." I'm like, "Well, yeah." No, it's just like this,
it is
a whole other thing.
It's crazy that this is a free update, right? Like you have a phenomenal single player. Like this is easily game of the year material as a single player. Yeah, you can find quibs about it and things that you don't like or how it played or whatever stuff. Yes, you can get annoyed at something about the single player, but hands down, it's a phenomenal game already. And then they drop a free update that easily could have been $30 without the raid. And then
easily,
right? And then there's this raid that is like chunky content, like amazing content, all for free.
Going through it the first time, it felt like doing a Destiny raid the first time. Like if you're a Destiny raid fan, you have to get this game. Like it's such a cool, it's like an alternate look at what a Destiny raid could be, given like different rules. Like you don't have guns, you have swords, and like you're not in space, you're in like a demon infested Japan.
Demon Japan.
Demon Japan. It's so tailored for a Destiny fan. Like I'm sure that's not the only people who are going to enjoy it, but like as a Destiny fan, as a Destiny raid fan, like you definitely want to play this game. Like it's really outstanding.
Yeah, and I don't say that in like a, they just copied Destiny and they copy pasted it. So the thing with Destiny and the way that they did raids is there's not many games that have done action-based game raids, which is what Destiny is. Destiny is an action game. So all the rules of how you make a raid experience in that type of game are very different to like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy. So seeing another company do their version of what an action-based raid is really, really interesting. And when I say that, this feels very Destiny, it does, but it's in the best way. They took a game that did the action-based raid really well and then did their own spin on it, which is really cool. So I've talked to a lot of people who were playing it and they're like, yeah, we just said, this is the War Priest entrance and everyone knew how to do the encounter. Or like, oh, this is just feeling super Kingsfall right now. Like you get those feelings. You've got the encounter and then like a jumping puzzle into an encounter. And the way that they set stuff up is very Destiny.
And it teaches mechanics too as you're playing it. You're getting little bits of mechanics, and then you start applying those mechanics to bigger parts until you have like a big, like now all these things have to move at the same time. And that's another like hallmark of Destiny raiding that is like they do really well. I mean, like here's the beginning of the mechanic, here's the full fruition all the way through. Yeah, and the narrative too.
You know what they did really well as well? Even better than Destiny raids, their checkpoint system is perfect. Like so good. Even to the point where it's like, oh, I failed midway through a jumping puzzle. Don't worry, there's a checkpoint here, man. All right.
The jumping puzzles, I think, are like they're an amazing thing because, like, as opposed to a Destiny jumping puzzle where everybody's just kind of out on their own, a lot of the jumping puzzles are teamwork based, right? It's like you have you have like 3 people who all have different affinities, and you have to jump on the correct thing. Everybody's got to jump together. You have another person who's like doing Overwatch and calling out like where you have to jump and when. Like it's so fun. Like they knocked it out of the park in so many ways.
Yeah.
The duel at the end though is
Can I say a counterpoint about the checkpoint real quick?
yeah.
The checkpoints for the jumping puzzle are really great. The checkpoints for where you can leave and come back do not exist. You either finish the chapter or you do not finish the chapter. So there's like chapter 2 was very difficult. So I think a lot of teams had it to where someone just had to get off at the end of chapter 2. And then when they get off, they don't get any loot, any XP, anything from any of that they completed. And the person who jumps in to take their place actually gets all of it. So if
Chapter 2 is a bitch too.
chapter 2 is long, and it's that final encounter is difficult.
Yeah, it's the hardest piece of the content.
Definitely.
Yeah. The final encounter, like if you don't have people, like we were like really lucky because we had like, if you don't have people with good builds, like that's the difference. I think it's it's not just in this one, it's not just a case of you hit the gear score and you're okay. Like you need a build because like we had like the fire hunter who can basically just like a mob spawns, you fire into the crowd's just dead. So it's like in that final phase, he's just basically just sitting there like every time like something runs towards the point, it's like dead. It's like all right, cool.
Yeah,
so that final phase for us, we did it in about like I think we failed the first time and just did it the second time. So like it didn't take us that long. But yeah, like if on the flip side, there was one time when I had to go back as the samurai, and I didn't have my build as much, so I was just trying to defend a point. I'm just like, I can't do anything here, so I can see where people would get stuck on that thing.
Yeah. Definitely. I want to highlight also that another thing that Destiny raids do really well is give you this like overwhelming sense of being diminished in size from like the environment and the story and what you're going up against and all that. And they also, in my opinion, nailed that experience in Ghost of Tsushima in this raid. They gave you the sense of a foreboding disaster that's been brewing, but also the levels and the way it like unfolds and how you traverse and cross and all that give you the sense that you're like an ant in this massive world of like mystery that's happening.
Yeah 100%.
Really good.
Yeah, I was incredibly impressed by Sucker Punch's work here. It definitely feels like they've learned from what Destiny did, but they've definitely created something of their own as well. It's not just copying somebody else's work. Like it does feel like a truly original work. And
yeah,
man, I can't wait to see what the studio has up their sleeve next. Like, I don't know if there's going to be more content for this game. I would certainly play it if there is. But man, I can't wait to see what they do next too.
I heard there were rumors the other day. I can't remember where it came from. I'm not sure how substantiated it was, but I heard rumors that they were already potentially working on like a Ghost of Tsushima 2. So
sweet.
I would hope so.
That would be.
Can't wait to see that on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, because if they did that and then like sort of tied up a few of the minor gripes from like the first one, that's going to be incredible.
You got to think their funding is going to be bigger this time around too, right?
They better throw the money at them. Sony, this was great.
Yeah. Sony actually, I read a great interview by, I can't remember who it was that was at Sony, but they were kind of talking about the differences between how Microsoft is just like, splurging and buying up studios, where Sony has been like kind of, building up these studios over time. And they used this game as an example of that, how, Sucker Punch has been a Sony studio for a long time, and they've really kind of, this is the first time that they've really kind of like made a masterpiece by a lot of people's definition. And, it's just it's an interesting look at the differences between the two companies, Microsoft and Sony.
For sure. Real quick on the raid, I wanted to say that it's not without fault though, in terms of like a raid specific content. There is no rewards in there that are specific to the raid, aside from cosmetics. There's cosmetics, so if you do some things, you're going to unlock specific cosmetics. But a lot of times in games that raid, you get like the raid sword, or you get the raid smoke bomb, or something like that. None of that's in there for this, and I can't necessarily fault them because it's been such a flawless multiplayer experience, and I don't expect to be like grinding Ghost of Tsushima for like 6 months or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a live service game.
Yeah, exactly. There's elements in there that are live servicey, like a weekly lockout for that 110 drop. So if you want to find criticisms in the raid, there's that. Like there's no specific mechanic changing, game altering loot, but there is cosmetics that look dope as hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only
the
other
raid armor
criticism
looks good.
that I would have is like, the encounter where you have to fill the blood well,
Mhm.
and you're basically ignoring enemies for the most part and trying to run past them. But because the game is set up like you don't have a lock-on system, right? You don't lock on a character and then you're free. The game tries to smart lock on for you, which works amazing in the single player story game and even in survival and probably like the story missions. But in an encounter where you aren't supposed to actually fight all the dudes because they're just respawning constantly, when you're trying to run away, you're like, your character's constantly locking onto guys, which can get a little frustrating, and you can kind of like bump into stuff and get stuck in places because your character is constantly trying to lock on. But I think that's just purely a thing of they made this single player game to be like that, and it works perfectly.
Yeah.
But in an encounter where you're trying to ignore dudes, when the game is all about like straight up saying, "Come fight me, nerd," and rolling up on guys and fighting them, it's a very different thing.
I see. I feel you on that. It makes me wonder what the conversation was. Obviously, we'll never know. But like, it'd be great to see that conversation of them being like, "Man, this is a great single player game. I'm really liking where we're heading with this." And someone being like, "What if we made a Destiny raid?"
Yeah. I'm so happy they used this as a chance to explore the themes as well, because you know how like we touched on sort of during when we spoke about like reviewing the actual just base game itself. We're talking about like some of the kind of legendary missions where they spoke about the folklore sort of, and they have these mystical tales about like, like a Tengu or like a Kappa, but it wasn't actually that. It was just like a bandit in the woods who had spread the story. I'm so like, it's funny because before we even kind of completed the game, I did wonder whether like, you might complete the game and then suddenly like Onis will be released on the lands, and they do that. So, and obviously they wanted to kind of keep it grounded in reality. So I'm so glad they used Legends as a chance to like really dip into that, because I love that sort of Japanese folklore stuff, and being able to actually have those like genuine like demons in the things like, ooh, like. And even going back to just like the legend stuff, like when you were walking between the mission areas and you go through the Torii Gate and you walk through those red areas, like
so good, so well done.
Good. And that's another thing that I loved is like the base game is very colorful and vibrant and beautiful, and then Legends has this very like red, black, white, gray palette. And it makes it spooky and gory and kind of gross, and it's such an awesome contrast to the main game. So I love that they did that choice as well.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, if you were in charge at Sucker Punch and you are right now starting to kind of plot out your strategy for Ghost of Tsushima 2, like what do you do? Like based on the reaction of players to the multiplayer content, do you do the same thing where you focus on the single player and then add on multiplayer at the end? Or do you see that this was really a successful thing and kind of split more of your development time for the multiplayer?
I'd almost be interested to do that. I mean, like, I feel like it's definitely, they are really, really good at doing single player experiences. So I feel like I'd never want them to kind of like focus so hard on it where they like lose that, because that's what made the game so good. But having known like how well it went on like the co-op side of things, what you could potentially do is explore an avenue where, let's just say like the story for the next one is, I don't know, you've got that and you've got like a companion that you play throughout the game. Like maybe you've got like an AI companion that can follow you, but then you could potentially play the entire game co-op. If you could play the whole game co-op with a friend, like just like just two players, that would be cool. But then don't force it. Where it's like, if you don't want to, okay, cool, you've got an AI companion who just follows you, because we know that the AI teammates, for a lot of your quests in the game, you had some kind of AI teammate with you anyway, right? So, and they work pretty well. So you could quite is that even a word? Unevasively, whatever. Like basically, just like not in a weird way. You could quite easily just like slide someone in and say, "Hey, I'm going to control this person." That could be an option.
Yeah,
potentially.
That's what I expected the Legends to be honest with you. It's just kind of putting like now you can play the game, but with 2 players or 4 players. To get what we got was really a shock.
Yeah, to have a whole story arc that was put in the game just for Legends, that is very different. I mean, this is straight up like demons, the yokai, right? Like the demons in there in feudal Japan, and it's just so cool to see that. Like that was one of my things. I was like, the single player was so good. I wish there was some more supernatural stuff.
Yeah, they could go multiple ways, because obviously in the main story, you are the ghost. You're the one that's separated from the samurai, and now you kind of have this like double way of playing the game. And then in Legends, we learned that there are multiple ghosts trying to deal with like the underworld taking over and stuff. So you could kind of do even a mixture, right? Where it's maybe you go between the planes of I'm in normal Japan and now I'm in like spoopy Japan.
Man, that sounds so cool.
That could be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, whatever they do next, I'm ready to pre-order. I'll put my money down. Like, I'm ready for that.
Back to your original question of like, where would you take it or what, whatnot? Like, I don't know. Like, the single player was so good. I would not want them to deviate away from that single player just to appease more multiplayer stuff in the market, because that as we've seen, that's gotten really fatiguing. Everybody forcing co-op on everything. Like, it gets old after a while. Like when they do a really solid single player experience, people take note, and they did. But then they're like, hey, how about we do an awesome multiplayer experience too? You're like, this can't be.
It's refreshing that it's not a live game experience, the multiplayer. Like, it's like, I feel like now that I've done the raid, like there's a couple of things I want to do. I still want to get like kind of that challenge done where you have to do like, you have to beat the last boss in a specific way. Like I still want to do that, but it's like, this is not a game that I'm going to like devote like the next 2 years of my life to. Right. Like, I feel like I got a full-fledged, I don't know, 50 hours. I'm not sure. Like, there's no counter here, but a bunch of hours out of this.
Yeah, they added the counter in the most recent update. But yeah, no, you're definitely right.
Oh,
like,
did
I
they?
think the main campaign was a good like 30, 40 hours in, right? So then plus like whack on a raid. 100%. Like you're definitely right though. Like I think as well to a degree. I mean, I know obviously you guys still play like a lot of Destiny and stuff, but I do feel like over the kind of recent years, people are almost becoming more and more fatigued to games as a service. Like,
definitely.
Because there was that part obviously where Destiny came out and you had Division and you had Anthem and everyone was like, oh yeah, I want to do like a new service. Like, but then I think people kind of go to the realization point where they're like, I can't play all these games because they all require my entire life. So it's like so then you sort of see like a slight shift where like a few games sort of I mean, I know it's not out yet, but like Outriders, they're like it's not a game as a service, it is a finite game, it's going to give you like a 60-hour campaign, there'll be some kind of end game content, and Godfall's
like that,
and then it's to the point where like developers are actually going out of their way to say, much like developers a few like a while back would be like there's no microtransactions, they're now going out of their way to say it's not a game as a service because they want people to know that. But I think a lot of people they're so conditioned for that, they still assume they see loot and they're like, it's a game as a service. It's like, it's not. And you can still have that experience. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, I love that I've had such a good like Tsushima experience and I can just put it on the shelf and just look back at it, talk fondly on it, but it's not going to take up my life.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
And you get a story that finishes. That's I think to be a real problem for me personally with live service games is you get these stories that never end. You never get the resolution. You never get to see how it all plays out.
Yeah,
I feel like it was games as a service that started my kind of downfall, where like I just feel like I never finish games these days. Like I used to like play a game and I would complete a game and then I move on to my next game. Like when games as a service came around, I'd start a game, I get like some like midway through, and then I move on to something else, and then like there's just my backlog of it's just full of just games that I've played like halfway through, and I'm just like it's sad. So and I feel like that's partly to blame. So yeah.
And also, it's really difficult to launch a games as a service game. Like we've seen that it normally always goes terribly wrong. I think that's another reason why they're like, it's not a live service game, we promise.
Right.
It's not going to fall.
In every example, I think people have been screaming at the developers. Bungie has been by far the most successful at this. Yeah. And still, people are screaming at them constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, what an impossible problem to solve. Like,
right.
Like, there's always things that are, and also like where you take a game. Destiny has gone through this morphing of being like a hardcore grind game to then being super casual and alienating all that audience that they built up. And then the casual audience is like, this is great, but now they're going back towards more hardcore. And so obviously the casual audience is going to get alienated from that. And like, there's no pleasing everyone, and there's always going to be issues.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ain't no pleasing everybody.
Actually, so last week, I think it was, IGN did an article with Godfall and went into a bunch of information.
Mhm.
And I wanted to wait until Eric's was here to talk about that, because obviously Eric's has had a bunch of experience talking to the devs of Godfall and all of that. But yeah, the article was about tinkering being the tinker's dream, Godfall is. And they also talked about one of the end game modes, which is very interesting.
Yeah, Tower of Trials.
Tower of Trials. Huh?
Yeah, super cool. So yeah. So they had their post, which was one of the nice things about this as well, is that we got our first look at actual menus finally. Like after all this time, you know, like we know like people that kind of like loot driven games. We'd seen the gameplay, we'd seen like enough sort of stuff to say like, all right, the gameplay loop looks fun. I just need to see what I'm actually playing for now. So they showed us that stuff. They showed us skill trees. They showed us loot stuff. Skill trees work around kind of an interesting way where like you've got this big like 6x6 grid or something like that. And then you invest skill points starting in one of the corners, and you basically just sort of like progressively work your way to the middle. The nice thing is you can freely respec like at any point. So you're never, you're never going to be bound to that point. So it kind of, encourages you to sort of jump around and whatnot. And then obviously we got to see like some of the loot stuff, which is really cool. Every Valor plate is interesting, sort of like, so the big determining difference for Valor plates is that they work around like a constellation system. So different Valor plates will be different styles. So you might have one that's like a balanced Valor plate. There'll be a mixture of like health, stamina, and health, strength, and the kind of magical abilities. But then every single Valor plate has like an augment constellation. And then they'll be more weighted towards a particular stat. So it might be that one of them is like has a lot more green slots. So then if you want to be more tanky, you would then lean more towards that, because when you get augments to slot them in, you have to color match them. So you then have this kind of interesting sort of mix up, because then your choice is not just because this Valor plate looks cool, but it's also going to be like, well, I really want to play in this style, and this Valor plate has the better weighting for this, so I'm going to kind of lean towards that. But yeah, like when it comes to like your gear, you have like 4 or 5 different layers. So you've got your weapons are the main things that you'll pursue, because Valor plates themselves, you don't, short of color swaps, you don't change their actual pieces. You're not looting armor, you're just looting like weapons and stuff. So weapons will be your primary like number one. Obviously you can equip 2 weapons. You then below that you have like your trinkets. So you'll have 2 rings, an amulet, and something else. You then have heal stones, which is obviously how you get a heal. You have like war banners. So there's loads of these sort of like different things that you'll kind of stack on top of each other. So there's a lot of different things to chase, which is nice. And then and obviously so and then outside of that, they spoke about one of the activities, which is like Tower of Trials, which is basically like this. I guess it kind of sort of sounds like as in like not an actual raid, the raid the movie, where you're basically kind of working up a tower and kind of like going up all these different floors.
I love that movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of works in a way similar to somewhat comparable to like have you guys played like Hades?
Yeah.
I
haven't played it yet, no.
Okay, so you'll go through, the way they described it is you'll go through the tower. You'll kind of obviously you'll fight some enemies. As you progressively go up, obviously the enemies will get harder. You'll get boons as you go along to kind of like get yourself stronger. But then there'll come points where you'll have to choose like a path where you want to go, and that will of course infer the reward that you get. So in a similar way to like Hades, you'll be like, oh, I'm going to go through this door because that's going to give me this reward. So then and obviously you have to kind of, if you go into that room and you'll be like, all right, maybe, I mean, this is kind of a made up example because we don't actually know what the rooms will be, but it might be like, oh, this room is weighted towards like weapon drops, or this room is weighted towards like trinket drops. So you'll be like, all right, I'm going to go this direction. And then you complete the room, and then you kind of get drops around that. And then, you progressively go up the tower. I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns right now. I don't know at the moment whether there's like a finite number of floors, whether it's just designed to be like one of those kind of endless activities. But that's one of the sort of like end game things for us to chase.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's just one of the end game as well. There's going to be multiple end game modes to play.
That's exciting.
Great. You know what I really want to know about this game, though? Like at this point, everything has sold me on this game. The only thing I'm still unsure about is how is it going to feel? Like, is it going to be fun to smash stuff with a big old hammer, or chop stuff with an axe, or swing that sword? Like, how is it going to feel? Is it going to feel as satisfying as Ghost of Tsushima? Is it going to, is it going to have that it factor. You know, like that's why Destiny ultimately is fun, because it's fun to shoot stuff in the head.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
if it didn't have that, you know, the rest of the
It
stuff
probably
doesn't
wouldn't
matter.
be here anymore if it didn't have that. People stick
Right.
around during, you know, Destiny 1 days being so dead and stuff because it was like the game just feels great. Like, it just feels good to shoot people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is that going on as well, where like the combat is just so satisfying. You can just jump in and start parrying and slashing. You're like, God, this is so fun, you know? And
Mhm.
I agree. Godfall has to hit that mark where you walk away going, man, I just need to smash more things because it's so fun. You know?
Yeah. That's the thing with that game. It's like the loot system looks like it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything about it looks like it's cool.
Beautiful looking game too, from what they've shown.
Yeah. Oddly, like that has been the internet's complaint about that game, is that it looks generic and not that good. I'm like, I don't understand that.
What they're saying.
I don't get that
Yeah.
either. I'm
Hell.
like, I look at the Valor plates and I'm like, the designs are so intricate and beautiful. And then you've got like these worlds that are vibrant, but then you've got other ones that are more dull and it looks varied. And everything I've seen looks good.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There was that one, I think it was during E3 or something. They showed a video and it was clearly like, this doesn't really show its strengths. And I think everybody's based it off of that one video. You know what I'm talking about? They had showed
I
one.
remember the video.
It was
yeah.
one marketing
It was
video.
a bit choppy to begin with,
Yeah, it was like, it was just a dud. It wasn't put together well. And everybody's now like, or from that, I feel like a lot of those people are like, yeah, I saw that one video and it looked bad. No thanks.
Yeah.
As opposed to seeing new stuff.
Crazy comments where people are like, it looks like a mobile game. I'm like, what mobile game looks like this? I'm like, what? If it does, I need to play that mobile game because
Also, where are you buying your phones? Because I clearly am buying.
Yeah, it's definitely.
All I
Yeah,
can say is the combat looks really great. It looks like there's a lot of things you're going to be balancing all at once with all the different systems that are in there. So the combat looks great, but yeah, just no idea how it feels.
I love that it's a
Yeah.
launch game too, because it's like I can't wait to just jump in on the new hardware and have like a really meaty experience to jump into right off the bat. And PlayStation 5 honestly has a really strong launch lineup with Demon Souls, this obviously Bug Snacks,
Clearly, the
Spider-Man.
winner.
clearly Spider-Man Miles Morales. Which did you guys see that they added the Into the Spider-Verse version of Miles Morales?
The frame rate, the way they've
The
done that.
frame rate.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't see this.
You haven't seen that?
Huh.
Someone get hefty at a trailer
need to
right
sit-
now
you
this
need to sit.
second.
You know
When
how
I
they
saw it,
kind of, you know how they kind of in that movie Into the Spider-Verse, they kind of
Oh, I love
they
it.
adjust the frame rates.
They shift the frame rate and
Yeah.
everything and stuff.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It made me
when
want
I
to watch
saw
the
that,
movie
I
again.
was like, how do you
That
do-
movie's
I was
amazing.
like, how is that even possible? Like, how is it not visually jarring to see that? But it's just they've somehow done it.
Yeah, and then you got all the multi-platform stuff. You know, like there's just it feels like a really strong launch. You know, it just is ready. It just feels like ready to go. You know, and like we've been seeing the controller stuff coming out, and oddly, they're suing people who are making third-party sides. Have you seen that story?
You know the company they're suing. Like it went live, and I was like, "Yo, matte black sides, red sides. I'm placing my pre-order right now." So I pre-ordered them, and then I got my email the other day. They're like, "Sorry, we can't fulfill this." And then the day after, it was like, "Sony is now suing this company." I was like, "Okay."
So you know how it's got the PlayStation 5 comes with the big white slabs on the side, right? The big plastic sides. Those come right off, and you can replace them. And a third-party company was making there was one that like a wood veneer kind of look that I thought looked dope, like an Atari,
So they just
like a
shut
modern
that
day
down?
Atari.
So Sony's probably going to make their own then, right?
Yeah.
Is why they're doing this.
You got to license it directly from them to be able to sell
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
I don't know if that lawsuit would hold up though. You know, like you're allowed to make iPhone cases if you're not Apple.
Yeah.
It might
Isn't
also
this
be
kinda
because
the
their
same?
website was called Plate Station, so maybe it was too close.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now I'm starting to see some of that.
Yeah, that might be possibly why. I was like, oh no.
Funny.
I was so disappointed when I got that email. I thought it was like, oh, they're dispatching it already. It's like, no, we're not fulfilling your order. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Too bad. But I am kind of. Did you guys buy any of the front plates for the Xbox 360 when that was a thing?
No.
Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah.
No. I had gotten
that
some
phone.
free. I think I got. There was one that my Xbox came with, like for buying a launch edition of the Xbox 360.
Oh, the green one, the kind of like green. I think, yeah.
Yeah, and then I had another one, but I can't remember how I got it. I might have paid for it, but it was wood. It was a wood veneer, and it looked dope.
Nice.
But then they changed the Xbox, so you couldn't use them anymore.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm just gonna invite. I'm gonna take the stuff off of my PlayStation 5, ship it to Ash, and have her draw on it and send it back to me.
That is the best
That is
idea
a
ever.
great
All that.
idea. What is Ash going to charge for that?
Yes. Look forward to new PlayStation 5 side panels on the TCP store.
I genuinely was contemplating that because I couldn't buy the matte black one. I genuinely am contemplating when I get my console, like attempting just to like take them off and just spray them matte black because I kind of want the official Sony one anyway because it's on the inside. It's got the nice little like subtle texture where it's like made up of the buttons. So I would kind of like to do that, but I feel like in matte black it's just going to look so clean. So I'm just like, yeah, maybe I'll just do a little project of like Alex tries to spray his PlayStation black.
Ash is in chat. Like companies like D-Brand too are gonna make like skins and stuff, so you'll be able to like vinyl wrap it and stuff. I don't know. I know a lot of people don't like the look of that thing. I think it looks really cool. Like I've liked the look of that thing right since launch. The Xbox I'm not so hot on, but I really like the look of the PlayStation 5. I can't wait to modify it.
What I'm really hoping is that I'm guessing probably not because like blue is their color. But if they sell replaceable faceplates, I would like it if the color, there's like that blue light that goes around the inside.
Yeah,
I would like it if you could like change that because if you then suddenly start putting like red or green faceplates on, you don't want it looking like a Christmas tree.
Right, you want it to be addressable RGB or at least RGB, like the color changes. I bet.
Give me one of those like cheap remotes, where you can change lights. The little tiny little remotes that barely feel like they have buttons on them. I want that.
You guys should see my computer. Like it's a goddamn unicorn puke in there. It's like every color of the rainbow all the time, and it's marvelous.
Oh man.
One thing about the PlayStation that's really been pissing me off at launch is that have you guys seen that Pulse 3D headset that they're selling for $100?
The official PlayStation one.
It's the official PlayStation headset, and it's the only way that you're going to be able to experience that new. I can't remember the name brand for it, but their new 3D audio solution. The only way you're going to be able to use that is with that Pulse 3D headset at launch. They are planning on bringing it to your home surround sound system or like third-party headsets, but at launch, the only way you're going to be able to experience that is with that headset, and it has been out of stock everywhere.
Damn.
Anytime I have to change a headphone or a microphone, I'm like, I'm just not going.
Yeah,
it's very scary. I don't want to touch any audio stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is, right? Like, I feel like all the Sony audio engineers will probably hate me, but I'm still like, I'm just not an audio guy, right? I sit here with one earphone in, like one earphone out, on like all my games. Like the amount of times we're playing like it could be like the raid, or we're playing like something that's particularly like challenging, and then my team will be like, "Are you even listening properly?" I'm like, I can hear. They're like, "Do you have two headphones in?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, please put it in because then you can hear all the sounds that are going on." I'm like, "But I want to be able to hear the world." So I like you can rattle off all the fancy audio technology. I'm just like, I don't need it.
My thing is like, what if that headphone is uncomfortable? Because more often than not, they're not really comfortable for me. And I'm like, I'm not going to want to use your headset for long hours just for like the 3D audio effect if it's going to make my head hurt.
Yeah. Well, that remains, and that's a hard thing to review too, because everybody's head shape is different. Everybody's ears are different. Like if your ears stick out further from your head, they can touch the inside of the headphone, or if they're just larger ears, the ear, like the things can touch them and push on them, and over like the course of a couple hours they can start to hurt. If there's too much clamping force, that can give you a headache. If there's not enough padding on the top, that can hurt. So there's a ton of different things, and it's not one size fits all with headphones. I have used Sony PlayStation branded headphones in the past, and I've always been pleasantly surprised with the quality the sound quality, the voice quality for the microphone, and the comfort, even at lower prices. And at lower prices is where it can be hard to get a good headset, that has a good microphone, that sounds good. And I think that $100 price point is pretty attractive. So I'd like to get these, and I'll definitely review them if I can get them. But
yeah,
I think it's actually a pretty compelling product, especially that it's the only way to see that Tempest audio that they're advertising.
Well, if it's good.
But you're right, Tefty. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. The Tempest audio thing, I'm like, we'll see. We've had so many times where it's like 3D audio is coming. 3D audio is going to change. And it's like, you didn't really change much. It's not like I'm suddenly inside the game in my ears or something. I mean, if they do that, great. Then I'm definitely going to be interested in trying it out. But I'm gonna need to see a lot of reviewers be like, this is a game changer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, it's hard to beat like full on surround sound in a living room with like, multiple speakers around you. Mm-hmm. It's hard to beat that. There was, do you guys remember the Triton headsets that they used to sell? That was around like the Xbox 360 era. I don't think they make them anymore, but they actually had multiple speakers in each ear cup. I think there's an array of 5 speakers per ear cup. Mm-hmm. And they were expensive, but they actually did convincingly do surround sound.
Yeah.
But they were expensive because they had so many speakers in there, and they also didn't do bass very well because the speakers had to be so small to fit in there.
Right.
But like, if you're a Call of Duty fan, they were really good because you could really get positional audio on opposing teams' footsteps, which was big back in the day.
Yes, it was.
That was the win button, even for somebody as bad as me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima. Play the main game. Play Legends. Play the raid. It's great. It's amazing.
It's a lot of people's game of the year.
When the game of the year vote comes around, vote for it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now that Cyberpunk can't, technically speaking, qualify for game of the year this year because it has to go into next year. So it has to go to Tsushima.
So were they at the cutoff point for this year?
Well, they're coming out in December. The Game Awards cut it off at that point because they actually air that in December.
Oh, right. Okay.
But I believe even if they launched in November 17th, I think they still would have been outside the acceptable limit anyway. So, but yeah, they're definitely out for the. I mean, we as kind of gamers can be like, well, it still came out this year. We can talk about it in the context of this year. But in terms of their nominations, then they're not they're open for nomination.
Okay.
The only thing keeping me from agreeing with you guys and saying this is definitely Ghost of Tsushima is definitely game of the year would be Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I just had so much fun playing that game. Like, it's not nearly as good a value as Ghost of Tsushima. There's no multiplayer, but goddamn, that when I was on stage doing the dances cloud, I don't know, I've had a more fun playing a video game in the last 10 years.
I can agree with that. Yeah. During that moment, I was like, this is insane. I love every second of this. I am laughing. I'm having a ball. And then during the final fight, I was freaking crying while also trying to kill. It was an entire emotional and nostalgic experience, which really, really was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
During the final fight, I was like, I hate this game. This game is rubbish. Why are you making me do this stupid fight? And then I was like, all right, it's cool. I like it now.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Definitely a tough one between those two. I feel like for me, it would edge more towards Ghost of Tsushima, especially now with the multiplayer update on there, because the amount of I don't know, the amount of experience you get across the board being a samurai legend is just incredible. And Final Fantasy VII was just an amazing remake. I mean, blew me away. Really did. It's been a good year. Aside from all the crap of 2020, for games, it's been a pretty good year.
Yeah. Yeah. For video games, it has been, really. Mm-hmm. I mean,
next week is about to get even better for video games.
Next week is about to hit the fan.
Well, our show is right before everything happens.
Yeah.
Because 10th is where things really start kicking off.
Yep.
And our next show is on the 9th. Okay. That's awesome. That's perfect. So we'll have a very distinct two shows. One where it's still like normal and rested and like happy, and the next show you'll see like post-apocalyptic. Like we've just spent 90 hours playing video games with new consoles. I'm still. When are those AMD cards supposed to release, Tefty? Isn't that coming right up?
Mid-November sometime. It was like the 16th or 18th or something like that.
So that'll be the week after that. Okay, so I don't know. I know we're getting toward the end of the show, but AMD just announced their newest graphics cards, which look to compete very favorably with the NVIDIA RTX 3080 and 3090, which just came out, but at excellent price points. It's like getting a 3090
not only price point, but like the
$500 less.
Like less
the power draw too.
Which a lot of people don't think about that stuff, and maybe it's because you don't actually pay the power bill. But if you pay the power bill in your house, then when you see less wattage being used in this stuff, it actually does add up over the years. With how much like draw.
Also, it adds up in heat that you got to dissipate.
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of those cards, the Godfall today released a trailer using the AMD Radeon RX 6000 series. So they're working with Godfall to kind of show off some Godfall PC gameplay.
That's cool. Yeah,
I'm playing that game on PlayStation though.
Me too.
It's PS5 exclusive for me.
Happening.
Yeah.
I definitely want to play on PlayStation, provided I can get my PlayStation entirely. If not, I'm going to be forced to play on PC.
Yeah.
Haptics, man. You got to have the haptics.
That's the thing. Because one of the interesting things they said in the article was that, this is also what I want to feel, but they were like, they want you to be able to know the type of weapon that you're using without even having to look at the UI. Like a hammer will physically feel different to swing.
Whoa, that's insane.
This brings joy.
Yeah, much joy.
Because I want to be a hammer user, so I want to be like, what are the triggers going to feel like? Is it going to be like, that's what I want.
From all the stuff I've heard of people say about the controller, that's kind of, for any game taking advantage of that controller, that's what it seems it's going to feel like. Like it actually, you can feel the weight of things. You can feel the difference in what things feel like.
You can feel what you're stepping in. Like you can feel the difference between footsteps in sand and footsteps on concrete. Like that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't wait to try this.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's super
I'm
cool.
excited, man. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun November.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
It is. I'm gonna rock up to the raid, at an appropriate light level, probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Appropriate for playing 2 other games. Light level, yeah.
I was kind of thinking. I was thinking about the Ghost of Tsushima raid, and while we were doing it, I'm like, man, I kind of like second thinking that decision that I made not to do the next Destiny raid with you guys, because it's so much fun being in that raid with you guys, and we're all joking around and making fun of each other. It's always just a blast, right?
It is a blast.
But then I was thinking, am I really going to want to put like 80 hours in 2 weeks into Destiny to get raid ready when there's 2 new consoles, Godfall, like there's so much other stuff happening that week. I want to experience all of it,
Briar, I'm going to be experiencing all of it. I'm going to rock up to the raid at whatever level I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I'll be fine, maybe.
Yeah. Was that the episode?
I think so.
This week's
I think
SideQuest,
so.
right? Yeah. Awesome.
SideQuest complete.
And it was the episode after 69. So
I'm sorry I missed it. I'm sorry. I apologize.
69 plus
you
1.
missed you missed us talking about Spank It Blanket.
Yeah.
Oh my.
What was the name of the one that like you wouldn't have never guessed it? What was it again? Oh, Cobra. What was it? Cobra what?
Oh, Cobra Club.
What do you think Cobra Club is, Herix?
It's a video game.
I feel like. Are you sure? I feel like it's the same thing as when people are like in school. They're like, "Do you want to join the pen club?" And you're like, "Okay, cool." They were like, "Yeah, you can be number pen 15." Like, is that the same thing as Cobra Club?
I don't know what that is.
Penis.
Oh, pen 15.
I'm like,
not exactly.
I
I feel like it's not too far removed though. There's a few like steps that you could potentially connect them.
Crossovers.
Yeah.
Is this similar to the Devolver game they showed off at E3 one time that was like called Genital Jousting?
No, but that is also banned on Twitch. That's also banned. We did talk about that.
Yeah.
Just me. I missed a wild episode. Sounds like it.
It was
a good
wild.
episode. People, the response in the comments was actually really positive. I went in there and I braved the
really?
comment section to see what people thought of it. People really thought it was good.
Nice. Did you wear a hazmat suit?
I came out dirty.
Maybe DCP should play the banned games off stream and review them on SideQuest.
Actually, what
That
we're
would
gonna
be
do?
pretty good.
Well, we're gonna make it Patreon exclusive for the reviews of banned games from Twitch. That way, this show on Twitch doesn't get banned for talking about those banned games in great detail.
Did we get banned from Patreon? Is that possible?
No. We'll just move to
No.
OnlyFans if that happens.
There it is.
Yeah.
These be OnlyFans.
Look at that.
You can stream on there.
I don't want to cross my personal and professional life like that, Watch.
Briar, where else are we gonna put the photos of the meat? The juicy meats that you got, huh? All right.
Well, you can catch me playing Cobra Club on our Patreon.
There you go.
I will send you some great pictures.
Yeah. Speaking of Patreon, thank you very much to our Patreon members that support the shows that we do week in, week out here on DCP. So thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. And that's the way Briar is able to afford all the seasoning rub that he uses every week to get delicious, tender meat of
Montreal seasoning, not cheap.
No, not cheap at all. Also, shout out to all of our Twitch subs as well, and the people that I can't talk for some reason.
Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all of you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for supporting the show, no matter what format you guys use. So thank you very much. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams twitch.tv/TeftyTeft. This week, I think I'm probably going to take a little on the lighter side. Maybe take a few days off because I want to prepare. I want to mentally prepare for the storm that's coming next week.
Same. I want to I want to step into the apocalypse with the cleanest house I can
Mhm.
so that I don't have to do
Yes.
anything for a while.
Yeah, everything.
Good idea.
Yeah,
Stock up
everything
on
needs to be
snacks.
taken care of, right? You don't want anything hanging out and being like, "Oh, I forgot to do that. Crap, I gotta, skip this because of whatever." No.
That's the
It's
best
the
feeling
night
too.
before
Like
your
mentally.
relatives come over for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Ugh, that's the worst feeling. The best feeling is when you've just completed like everything that's kind of on your to-do list. Like you just did it and you're like coming off of it. Like you cleaned the house, you paid the bills, you build the lawn, you did all the things. And you're like, I could just drink a beer here and not have to worry about anything that I have to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
That's the best.
That's what I'm aiming to achieve this week before next
It's
week.
I don't know if it's actually an achievable goal.
Nope.
It's like enlightenment. People talk about it, but can you actually get there?
No.
Who's next on where you find Eric's? Where can people find you?
Sure. You can find me over on Twitter at Arix or YouTube at Arix Gaming, where, yes, I will be mentally trying to work out how to cover all these different games in the short space of time. Yes, it's going to be crazy.
We're all going to become
At least
quantum
you don't
engineers.
also have to cover Kenna Bridge of Spirits because it was delayed, because that would have been
True. And I really,
times.
really want to just enjoy it because I like those guys being huge Zelda fans. Like I get distinct Zelda vibes from that. I want to sink myself into that game and play that. So yeah, For me, the main, I think that the main priorities that I'm trying to work out how to juggle is how to do Assassin's Creed in 2 days before then going to Godfall, which I'm going to cover heavily. But I also want to play alongside Spider-Man and Demon Souls. So quite how to do that, I don't know. But at least I'm grateful that I don't have to juggle Cyberpunk until December now.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I'll go next. Sure. I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, but just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
Briar.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me not patiently waiting for the new consoles to come in, waiting for the FedEx guy so I can chase him down the street with my socks.
Nice. That's an image
Beautiful.
that I will add some Crocs to make it complete. All right, that's the show. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you. Actually, when's what retro slot?
That was last week. That's every other week, so that'll be. We actually are taking the week off next week as well because
For
of
reasons.
Destiny coming out and everything. So
Don't wanna
that's
talk retro
actually
games,
next
man?
episode is going to be 2 weeks from tonight.
All right,
Or 2
sounds
weeks
good.
from tomorrow.
Then I think firing range. Yeah, there'll be some more stuff. We'll be on DCP this week, and we'll see you for SideQuest next week. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye.